All right, so we're diving deep today, folks, into the psychology of money, right? Specifically, chapter 9 of Morgan Housel's book. And get this chapter is all about how wealth, well, it's kind of more about what you don't see than what you do.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we tend to think of wealth as all the flashy stuff, those big houses, fancy cars. But this chapter really challenges that whole idea, suggesting that real wealth, it's often hidden. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
It totally does. And speaking of hidden wealth, the author kicks things off with this great story, right? About a valet who meets these two guys. One's named Roger, drives a simple Honda, but turns out he's loaded. Then there's this other guy who rolls up in a Porsche.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. But
Yeah, Porsche gets repossessed.
exactly. It's like, talk about a reality check. I think that story really gets to the heart of the matter. True wealth, it's not about appearances. It's about having that, financial freedom to make choices, having options, and a safety net when things go wrong.
And speaking of appearances, there's this line in the book that really stuck with me. It says, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Which is so true, right? Especially in today's world with social media and everyone trying to keep up with the Joneses, it's almost like we're encouraged to project this image of wealth, even if it's not really there.
It's true. It's like this whole fake it till you make it mentality, which, can be dangerous. I mean, as Housel points out, that kind of thinking can lead to some serious financial problems down the road.
So, okay, if wealth isn't about all that flashy stuff, then what is it about? I'm really curious to dig into this idea of wealth as unspent income. Like, how does that translate to having more control over your life?
Well, think of it this way. It's kind of like building muscle. When you work out consistently and eat right, you create this gap between the calories you consume and the ones you burn. And that gap, that's what leads to a healthier you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that.
So it's the same with money, right? When you're consistently saving and spending mindfully, you're creating this gap between the income you earn and the money you spend. And that gap, that surplus, well, that's where real wealth lives. It's like having this reserve tank of financial fuel, for whatever comes your way.
So it's not just about having money, it's about what you do with it. Or actually, what you don't do with it.
Exactly. It's about being deliberate with your spending, knowing that every dollar you don't spend today can potentially grow and work for you in the future. It's about unlocking possibilities, maybe even ones you haven't even thought of yet.
That's a really powerful concept. It's like planting seeds for a future that you want to create. But it kind of makes me wonder, if true wealth is often this invisible thing, how do we actually learn from people who've built it? It's like trying to study this secret society.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's one of the challenges, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The book actually mentions this guy, Ronald Reed, who was a janitor, but secretly he amassed this like $8 million fortune. But no one knew until after he passed away.
Wow, 8 million as a janitor. That's incredible. And it makes you think, right, there are probably tons of everyday millionaires out there, people who've built this substantial wealth but don't show it off.
Exactly. And because their wealth is kind of, invisible, it's harder to find those role models, those mentors who can really guide us on the path to financial freedom. But maybe that's part of the lesson itself. Building wealth. It's not about imitating some flashy lifestyle. It's more about understanding those core principles, those fundamentals, and then like applying them to our own unique situations.
So, okay, I'm starting to get why this whole invisible wealth idea is so fascinating. But here's $1 million question, right? If the goal is not to spend, what's the actual point of building up all this unseen wealth? What's the real payoff?
Well, that's where things get really interesting, and that's what we'll explore next. It's all about the options and the freedom that this invisible wealth can bring.
Okay, so let's dig into this. What's the payoff? The big reward for building this invisible wealth? I mean, it seems kind of strange, working hard, saving all this money, but it's all like hidden away.
Oh, it's about building a life, where you've got more choices, more control. Think about it. Imagine waking up every day and feeling like, hey, you can do what really matters to you. You're not stuck, not limited by like money problems. That's what financial freedom really means.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not about like denying yourself everything. It's more about having that cushion, that peace of mind, knowing you can make choices that fit with what you believe in and what you want to do in life.
Absolutely. It's like that story we were talking about earlier, the guy with the Porsche. Remember the one that got repossessed?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in chasing those symbols of success, but they can be really fleeting, And in the end, they might not make you happy.
Yeah, it's like you build this amazing house, but on a foundation of sand. It might look good for a while, but it's not going to last.
Exactly. That's why it's so crucial to understand what wealth really is. It's not about trying to impress others. It's about building something solid, a foundation that's secure for you and for the people you care about.
I get that. This whole conversation's been really, eye-opening, but gotta be honest, it's still a little daunting, thinking about building wealth when it feels like everyone else is just out there spending and, enjoying those luxuries.
I hear that. It's tough, right? We see all these messages telling us to buy,
Yeah.
experience this, get that, look successful. But you got to remember, a lot of those messages, they're not coming from a place of true happiness. It's just marketing and, this whole consumerism thing.
Yeah, it's like they're selling us this version of wealth that's all about how other people see you, not about how you feel inside.
And that's why it's so important to define wealth for yourself, on your own terms. What does a good life, a meaningful life look like to you? What brings you joy? Once you know that, then you can start making choices with your money that support that vision.
So it's not about being like a Scrooge, right? Denying yourself everything. It's more about, being aware, making choices about how you spend so you can put your money towards what really matters to you.
You got it. And here's where it gets exciting. Building wealth. It's not just about piling up cash. It's about taking control of your life. It's about having the freedom to choose your own career path, do what you love, spend time with people you care about, even give back to your community.
Those are the things that really create wealth, right? The
Yeah.
kind that money can't buy.
For sure. And those are the benefits we often miss when we focus on, that surface level wealth. It's like we're so busy trying to get to the destination, that big house, the fancy car, that we forget to enjoy the journey.
Okay, I'm with you. But it still feels a bit mysterious. How do you actually build this invisible empire of financial freedom? What are the actual steps?
Well, it's not about some secret formula or getting rich quick. It's about being responsible with your money, developing good habits that you can stick with,
So it's more like a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency is key.
Right on. Small changes, but done consistently, they can really add up over time. Track your spending, make a budget, even set up automatic savings, and learn about personal finance. Read some books, listen to some podcasts.
Those sound like good places to start, but I gotta say, investing still seems kind of scary.
That's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah.
But honestly, it doesn't have to be so complicated.
I know some people think it's like this exclusive club for financial geniuses or something.
Yeah, but it's not true at all. There are so many resources out there now, things that make investing, accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
You can start by just learning the basics. Things like index funds, diversification, compound interest.
Yeah, those are good terms to look into. Honestly, I already feel a little more confident just knowing there are tools and strategies to help me figure this all out.
That's the spirit. And remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Start small, learn along the way, and, celebrate your wins.
This whole conversation has been so helpful. It's like we've peeled back all the layers, and found this whole new way of looking at wealth.
And it's not just about the money itself, right? It's about how that financial freedom allows you to live a life that's more fulfilling, a life where you can make a difference.
Totally. It's about having the means and the flexibility to follow your passions, support the things you care about, and even leave a positive mark on the world. But speaking of leaving a mark, there's one thing I'm curious about. What about people who are wealthy and they seem to really enjoy spending their money? Are they missing the point?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Remember, wealth, it's what you don't see. So someone can be wealthy and still enjoy the finer things in life. It's all about balance, enjoying the present, but also investing in the future.
So it's not about being a miser, right? Or denying yourself any pleasure. It's more about being aware and making choices that, align with what you value, what you want in the long run.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can enjoy what you've earned without putting your future at risk.
Yeah.
Imagine savoring a delicious meal. You can enjoy every bite without having to gobble up the whole plate at once, right?
That's a great way to put it. It's about finding that sustainable way of enjoying life without messing up your long-term financial well-being.
You got it. And this brings us back to that idea of, defining wealth on your own terms. It's not about trying to fit into some predefined mold of success. It's about crafting a life that feels genuine and meaningful to you.
So if someone asked me now, what's the point of building all this invisible wealth? I'd say it's about having the freedom to choose your own adventure, write your own story, without being held back by money worries.
I love that. It's beautifully said. And ultimately, isn't that what we all want? To live a life that feels, purposeful, joyful, and true to who we are.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive has given us some really valuable insights into how we can get there, not just financially, but in all areas of our lives.
I couldn't agree more. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Man, this deep dive has been, seriously eye-opening. We've really gone deep on this whole idea of wealth, huh? It's not just about having a fat bank account. It's more about how that money gives you freedom and choices in your life.
You got it. It's about making those money decisions, match up with the life you want to live, the experiences you want to have, the impact you want to make.
I think for a lot of people, it's not that they don't get the whole financial freedom thing. It's more like, where do you even begin? It can be overwhelming, especially with all this conflicting advice and financial jargon flying around.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's easy to get lost in the weeds and think you got to be some kind of Wall Street whiz to make any progress. But honestly, building wealth, it's more about being intentional and consistent.
Yeah.
It's not about mastering every little detail of the stock market,
So it's more about those baby steps, but in the right direction, not trying to jump over the whole Grand Canyon in one go.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, right? A journey 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And when it comes to building wealth, those first steps, they can be surprisingly simple.
All right, I'm listening. What are some practical things anyone can do to start building their own invisible empire of financial freedom?
Well, one of the most basic things, just knowing where your money's going. You'd be surprised how many people just kind of go through life without really tracking their spending.
It's like driving a car without looking at the gas gauge.
Yeah.
You might be having fun, but you're going to run out of gas eventually.
Perfect analogy. Even if you just track your spending for a month or two, it can be super eye-opening. You'll see where you might be spending too much or where you could maybe save a little more.
So it's about shining a spotlight on those money blind spots, right? And getting a grip on your cash flow.
Exactly. And once you know where your money's going, you can start building a budget that actually supports your goals and values.
I think a lot of people, when they hear budget, they think, ugh, restrictions.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But a budget doesn't have to be about depriving yourself. It's actually a tool to give you more power. Think of it like a roadmap for your money. It helps you decide where to put your resources, what to prioritize, so you can reach your goals faster.
So it's about making conscious choices, right? Not just letting your money disappear on stuff that doesn't really matter.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about making sure your money is working for you, not against you. And here's a little tip that can make a big difference. Automate your savings. Set it up so, every month, money automatically goes from your checking to your savings or investment accounts.
Yeah, it's like paying yourself first, right? Before you even have a chance to spend it, you're already putting some aside for your future self.
Exactly. It takes the temptation away. And as your savings build up, you can start exploring, different investment options.
This is where it gets kind of scary for some people. Investing can seem like this, super complicated, risky thing.
I hear you. But remember those index funds we talked about? Those are a really good starting point, especially for beginners. They're a way to invest in, a whole bunch of different stocks or bonds at once, so you're spreading out your risk.
So instead of trying to pick, the winning stocks, you're kind of betting on the whole market doing well.
Right. And one of the coolest things about investing is this thing called compound interest. It's like a snowball, Yep. Your investments grow, and then the earnings on those investments get reinvested, and it just keeps growing faster and faster.
It's like your money's working out at the gym, getting stronger and stronger.
Exactly. And the earlier you start, the more time that snowball has to roll down the hill and get bigger. It's like planting a tree. The sooner you plant it, the bigger and stronger it's going to grow,
This deep dive has been awesome. I feel like we've learned so much about wealth, not just what it is, but how to build it, even if it's invisible.
And it's not just about the money, right? It's about how that financial freedom can, help you live a better life, a life where you can really make a difference.
Yeah. It's about having the resources and the freedom to go after your passions, support the things you care about, and leave a positive mark on the world. Well, that's about it for our deep dive into the psychology of money. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.